Well, hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a live edition of Comfort Time Live. This is beautiful, and I tell you, we have achieved technical success. At least I hope so for the time being. We are streaming on two separate sites. I'm actually streaming on UStream and from Skype into the studio here. So we were always wondering if this was possible so that we could do. What's that? I am not. There's some other good looking guy by himself in the studio. Oh, wait, no. Behind you, Cliff. Behind you. But pay no attention to the bottles of vodka in the back, please. I didn't have time to straighten up. But yeah, what we're trying to do is we're trying to be able to get things set up to where we can start doing some remote shows. Now, I've done something special, Cliff. Over the years I've really tried to bring Comfort Time Live to all the listeners. I wanted to really be diversified. I wanted to touch a little of the younger people, the middle aged, the older people, the men, the women. Well, what I've done is to help me with the multiple businesses that I have going is I brought in an incredibly intelligent young lady named Heidi. And Heidi is now an associate with me who, believe it or not, is a professional actress, a marketing guru, a salesperson, you name it, she's done it, and extremely intelligent. And I tell you, just in a couple days that she's been with me, she has just taken things and run with them. Now, you ask yourself, well, why am I bringing this person on? Well, as you probably know from the sound of my voice, I'm a guy. And if you've been listening to my show over the past 4.5 years, we like to have fun. But what I'm trying to do is broaden the horizon of the show and open it up to the ladies that are listening, or perhaps were listening or don't listen, but maybe want a little bit more sustenance when it comes to Comfort Time Live. So Heidi is going to help bring kind of the female perspective to Comfort Time Live. So she is going to be a great. She's actually been on the radio before too, Cliff. Prior, so she really understands the behind the scenes. She understands what we need to do, and I tell you, I'm really excited to have Heidi on board with me, and you can expect to have many more guests be on the show. She's actually going to help me focus on trying to get a guest on just about every show, if we can. I'm hoping she is going to be on the show. She is actually one of the speakers at Weight Watchers. So she does the training and speaking and whatnot. So very impressive. But on some of those Thursdays, she said that she will. She will. It was a good thought. But she did say that on a couple of those Thursdays she'd play hooky from Weight Watchers and she'd come over here to be on the show, and I am really excited. We met for quite a few hours yesterday, and she's just absolute brilliant young lady. I sent her a lot of the things that I've been doing over the years, and she just went through them with a fine-tooth comb, and she's giving me that freshness. And if you've been listening to the show for a long time, you know I do everything in my power to try to brighten things up, to change it, to bring you different information, to not talk about the same stuff time after time. And I think that Heidi is going to bring a really good perspective, so I'm really pleased. And if when the first time she does come on the air, it would mean a lot to me if some of the ladies listening would call in and, kind of just let us know what they would like to see from the show. We don't want to keep it all guy. We want to. Yeah, we don't want to do that. We want to broaden. We want a broad base of listeners to where the ladies can sit down at 6:05 and say, he may talk about something that could be useful to me, and that's what I'm looking for. So hang in there, and I tell you, I really see things working out really well, and getting guests on all the shows. So if you have any suggestions for guests, perhaps we've had a couple people request real estate or attorneys that involve themselves in foreclosure. You know, I'm upside down on my house still, even with the economy the way, it looks like it's going up, but there are still people out there that have homes that, well, they're upside down. Maybe they want to get out. So somebody asked about an attorney that could come on the show and talk about that. Perhaps a real estate person that could also kind of gear us in the direction of what would be the best options. So you folks giving a call in. Now, 772-340-1590 is the number to the studio. If you'd like to call in tonight, you can give me a call, and you can give your suggestions. Now, you can call that number anytime and leave a note with Lynette or anybody in the studio, or you can just call my personal cell phone. And I don't mind giving out my personal cell phone because the reason is I'm here to help you. Okay? So, if you want to write this number down, please, no harassing phone calls, but I'm okay if you call. I may not answer the first time because I like to screen my calls sometimes just in case. I don't have Cliff programmed in, so if Cliff calls me, I want to pre-screen him to make sure, Now, the reason that I'm giving my phone number out, you're like, man, this guy is insane. Why is he giving his phone number out? Well, if you have a computer and you were to Google Tom Platania or you were to Google Comfort Time Live, there's a phone number that pops up. Well, I don't know, there's about 300 billion people in the world or some number like that. And well, if anybody can get on the internet, that means about 300 billion people have my phone number because my phone number is on the internet. So I'm okay with the generous listeners that we have having that phone number. So we've got to get a pen and paper and go ahead and write this phone number down. If you ever have a topic that you want to talk about on the show, if it's maybe you're selling your house and you want to have a home inspector, or you're looking for real estate people, or you have a question about something, pick up the phone and give me a call. Because just because we don't talk about it on the air doesn't mean that we can't make it a topic that other people may have the same exact question that you do. And we want to make sure that we get that question answered. So that's a good thing. All right, so here's the number. Ready to write? Okay. 772-882-5700. Again, 772-882-5700. That's my business personal cell phone number. Call it anytime. If I do not answer, I promise I'll call you back. Leave a message, a detailed message, and I'll be more than happy to answer or help guide you in the right direction for what you're looking for. All right, now, hey, remember when I ran that triathlon, Cliff? A couple years ago, how much weight I lost? I am dropping it off, buddy. I put all that weight on again, and I am dropping it off. I'm doing a thing called boot camp. And, oh, my gosh. Talk about comfort. Yeah, this is the opposite of comfort. Yeah, it's a workout boot camp. It's a health boot camp, fitness boot camp. And my gosh, down at Palm Beach boot camp, it is tough. But I tell you, I feel so good. I've lost a lot of weight. I feel healthier. I lost a ton of inches. Getting back in shape because I want to run that triathlon. At 44 years old, I want to run that triathlon next April, 2014, and I want to be back in shape to make it happen. So it's a good thing. So we're going to touch on 3 or 4 different topics tonight. We're going to touch a little bit on hurricane preparedness when it comes to your air conditioning system. We're going to talk about a test home that we're trying to put together. We've talked about it a little bit before. We're going to talk about, well, it's starting to get hot. What do you want to do? What signs can you tell that your air conditioning system is, well, kind of on its last leg? And don't forget our website, comforttimelive.com. I know some of the listeners out there don't bother with the website much, don't bother with the internet much, and that's okay. But you can always go to comforttimelive.com and find all kinds of information, links to Air Conditioning 101, links to the Better Business Bureau, links to putting somebody's contractor's license in there, because what do we do? What do we do when a contractor comes into our house? What's the first thing we do, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. We find out if he is a licensed contractor. What's the second thing we do? You're right again. We take that license and we put it into a computer someplace or make a phone call to verify that that license number is indeed for that company, number one, that it's a local license, number two, and you can do that all through comforttimelive.com. That's all one word, comforttimelive.com, and there's all different kinds of things. And now with Heidi being on board with me, once I get her a little acclimated to what's going on, Heidi's going to start helping me with the websites, give it kind of a fresher look, a little female perspective on things. So really, really, really excited. So we really want to focus on that and help you guys to get it better. So don't forget to call us with topics, 340-1590. And next we're going to be talking about hurricane preparedness. And it's getting hot. What are the signs that your air conditioner's going down? You're listening to Comfort Time Live here on WPSL 1590. We'll be right back. But yeah, if I talk, they will. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Comfort Time Live. I hope you have settled back in your comfortable little chair, maybe sipping on your beverage of choice. As you probably know, a little Grey Goose or Kettle One are right up my alley. Hey, but for you folks that are in Martin County, you probably are not aware of this. There's a, well, I guess you could say a pillar of the community restaurant called Harry and the Natives. It's been there forever and a day. Absolutely love that place for breakfast. Just for going to have a great lunch. They have great entertainment sometimes. But did you know that Harry and the Natives now has a full liquor bar? Which is shocking, and there's a lot of folks that don't know that. So do you like your Beefeater gin martini? Perhaps maybe a little scotch on the rocks, and you just, well, never thought about going to Harrington Natives about that time. Well, they're open till 10 o'clock now, and this is not a plug for them because they're paying me or anything like that. It's just I love that place. And now that I'm down in Stewart, I go there a lot more often. So I really enjoyed it. And when I went there the other night and saw that I guess it's been a few months since I've been there. They've had the liquor bar open for about 5 months now. Absolutely gorgeous. They put it right where the little shop was, the gift shop, and they moved the gift shop back over behind the stage. So really nice. They got a great guy, Al, behind the bar who's taking good care of you. But I tell you, been down there a couple times. Absolutely love it. So if you've been to Harrington Natives and you haven't been there in a while, make sure you go ahead and check it out. Maybe I'll see you down there. All right, so we're going to talk about hurricane preparedness. Not too much that you're going to have to do for hurricane preparedness, but if your system's not very new, some of the more recent codes have changed, where the new air conditioning systems have to be specifically strapped down to the typically concrete slab that the outside unit is sitting on. Now, most municipalities require that these L-shaped brackets, that they be specially engineered to withstand a certain amount of wind load. I think it's about 150 mile an hour wind loads, which means that the bracket has to be a certain thickness, which means certain size screws must be used, okay? And certain size screws must be drilled into the concrete at a certain thickness and a certain depth. So most contractors, air conditioning contractors, know that. Not all of them, but most of them do. But so you want to ask your air conditioning contractor next time he's out your house for maybe a maintenance or whatnot. I wouldn't make a special phone call for it. But you want to ask them if they have hurricane straps. It shouldn't cost you that much for them to do it. It should only take them a couple minutes to do. But it'll help you because you think about it. You know, we're gonna have a storm here soon. It's been a long time since we had one, and what typically happens? Well, calm before the storm. Eventually, we're going to get one, and you know, your old air conditioning system, perhaps the bottom's rusted out on it. Maybe it's not as secure to the concrete as it used to be. And what'll happen? You get a good gust of wind come by and rip that thing right off, and well, number one, it could, you know, twist and bend the refrigeration lines, and then you have no air conditioning. Or perhaps it could rip it off and end up being a projectile for your neighbor. And you definitely do not want that on your conscience, that somebody might have gotten hurt. And for less than a couple $100, you can get these hurricane straps. Bolt that thing down to the concrete, and you'll have no problems. Also, you know, just some of the things that you want to consider is make sure all the electrical wiring and everything. So, you know, just have your technician the next time he comes out to the house, just say, hey, listen, would you take a quick look at that? We got plenty of time before actual hurricane season starts, but it's better to do it now, because between now and then, I'm sure you're going to have your unit maintained at least once. Because if you listen to Comfort Time Live, you're a very, very intelligent individual. And intelligent individuals have their air conditioning system properly maintained. That correct? Yes. Shake your head. Yes. Up and down. That's it. I like that. Yeah, and have it properly maintained. When you have it properly maintained, that means that you're going to get longevity out of it. Just like when you take care of your woman. If you properly maintain your woman, you're going to have longevity. She's going to be well taken care of. She's going to take good care of you. Same thing with your air conditioning. You take good care of it, it's going to take care of you, and everybody's happy. Everybody's happy. So keep that in mind. So make sure the electrical and all that stuff is all nice and tidied up and tied up, and that you have no issues with that. And that's really about it for hurricane preparedness. Not too much going on. Now, we were talking about a test home. Months back, probably in November, December, January, we were talking about getting a test home. Well, we're still looking for a test home. We've had some people contact us, but we got to look for someone who needs the benefit of energy savings devices in your house. Okay? Now, what's the test home that we're looking for? We are looking for a test home. Doesn't necessarily have to be too big, but I don't know, something maybe between 1,500 and 2,000 square feet. You know, every circumstance is going to be different, so we'll take a look at everything. But we want to look for homes that, you know, have a couple people in them. Maybe their electric bill a little higher than normal. And when I say higher than normal, if your electric bill is any more than 10 to 12 cents a square foot, your electric bill is higher than it should be. Now, what the test house is going to do, especially with Heidi being on board now, she's really going to help us dig into this, is we are going to have businesses, and these businesses could be all over the United States or they could be local. And they have products that they have proof that they save tremendous amount of energy. Now, there is no cost for whatever these, and we're not talking about major refinements. We're talking about like one. We have Larson fans. Steve Larson's still on board with me to make sure this happened. He has a fan that goes in your bathroom exhaust fan, that he has proof and documentation, and also he has a lot of them in a lot of homes, that the way it's specially designed, it does not allow air to escape in the house unnecessarily until you turn on the fan. And what he means by that is the bathroom vents that you have, you'll notice that sometimes your bathrooms can get a little more humid or a little warmer than most places. And some people say it's, well, because you got the toilet in there and there's water in the toilet and it evaporates a little bit, and you have the showers, and that part of that's true. But what happens is these bathroom exhaust fans, they have little flapper valves in them. And what happens is they don't always stay completely closed. They can dangle open, they can get stuck open. And what happens is a lot of the cold air gets forced out because your house is under a slight positive pressure, or should be. Let's put it that way. So some of that air is escaping and causing those rooms to tend to be a little hotter. So what this special exhaust fan that he has is, it actually is a special design where that air does not escape unless the fan is turned on. So it's pretty impressive. So it's a minor thing like that where we would take care of the installation of the product and you would benefit from the energy savings. But in turn, of course, we'd want you to come on the radio show and we want you to tell us about your experience with that product. And that's the test home we're talking about. We're talking about little things like that. Maybe perhaps special ultraviolet lights. And we'll put that ultraviolet light in your house, and you're going to let us know and tell our listeners, was it a success or not? If it wasn't a success, then hey, so be it. But you can, from your own personal experience, can relay this information to the rest of our listeners. So we're looking for folks that are like that. Now, if you know somebody who's like that, please give me a call. 340-1590 right here on the station. You can either call here or you can call on my cell phone that you have before, 772-882-5700. And I'll be more than happy to put your name on the list. When we do, we'll come out like we've done with some of the other folks that have called in or emailed. And we've gone out and looked at their home. And we want to make sure we have the right home. We don't want to set anybody up for failure. If you got a $45 or $60 electric bill, you know, there's really not too much that can be done. There's really not enough energy savings. But if you got a $200, $300, $400 electric bill, you need to pick up the phone, or you know somebody that's got an electric bill that high. Okay, so we want to take a look at that. And if you have products that you've had in your home, and remember, because Comfort Time Live is about anything in your home, from taxes to construction and everything in between. If you have something that you've been very pleased with and very happy with and very successful with, then give us a call and let us know what that product is. And we'll do some research on it. Maybe we can pass it along to some of the other listeners and share it. So that's what we're looking to do. All right. So if you have any questions or comments or any topics that you want to talk about on the show today, 772-340-1590 right here in the studio. Give us a call. We'll be more than happy to answer those questions. Have any questions about the past shows that we've done, perhaps about maintaining your system, Maybe about we had a question about ultraviolet lights. Where should they go? What's good? What's bad? We've had some questions about filtration. We've had questions about uh, whatever costs. Was this a legitimate repair? Now, I will typically talk about what something should cost or not because everybody is different out there, and it's not my position to determine. But if somebody's saying they're charging you $6,000 to replace a capacitor, well, then I'll tell you that that's a little faux pas. But I try not to dictate pricing because everybody out there is a little different. I'd say, what we haven't done in a little while, and I need to, is we have not done one of the contractor exam board shows. And I think what we're going to do, I think we're going to do that next. We're going to do the contractor's exam, or not the contractors yet, the contractor's licensing board when they have theirs. I'm going to check with the lady and see when their next board meeting is so that we can make sure we talk about all the unethical or unlicensed contractors that have been found guilty of doing things that they shouldn't be by the city of Port St. Lucie. Okay, and it looks like we have a caller on line one. We have Mike. Mike, how you doing today, buddy? Boy, did that just completely ruin your life after that, or what? Oh, geez. Oh, you really are. Wow. Sorry to hear that. No, I'm teasing. Nicole and Gerard, those guys are some of my best friend. Okay. How out of whack? What's your highest electric bill? What's your lowest electric bill? Okay. Just off the top of your head, what's the highest one you can remember? Okay. What's the lowest one you can remember? Okay, that's actually how big is your house? Wow, that 190. Do you have a pool? Okay, yeah, that 190 is through the roof. Um, even if that's your lowest. Now, you do you use the heat in the wintertime? You do not. Oh, yeah, but something that amount of time. How old's your water heater? Okay. Okay. Uh, any other special appliances? How many people live in the house? Wow. Yeah, that's. Hey, I don't have any sons, but can you tell me how you did that? I got a couple daughters. No, 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 no. You got a boy. You only have to worry about one boy. I have a girls. I got to worry about. So you know what I'm talking about. So your air conditioning from your highest to your lowest bill, your air conditioning system was about $160 of that. But I tell you, when the air conditioner's not running, $190 is astronomical. Um, so you have no out of the ordinary appliances, correct? Okay, but not. Yeah, I would absolutely. It sounds like a perfect house, Mike. That would be great. Well, maybe with Heidi coming on board, she's going to be looking into that type of stuff. She's going to be looking into the interior decorator side of it to kind of. Okay. Absolutely, that's an excellent suggestion. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So solar power, we need to We need to get someone on the show who's an expert. I need to read up on my solar power, and we need to do a great show about that. Well,
I'll put through a video for a unit that I just purchased. I don't know if it works because I haven't installed, but it actually pre-cools air so
oh, it's like a mister?
correct.
Okay, yeah, they've been doing those for years for commercial buildings, and they're huge. So you're saying they have one for the
For home use.
residential side. How long have you been using it?
Well, I haven't. That's
Oh,
probably just the other day.
okay.
I've not installed much of a pre-installation. I don't know how well it works, but the guy that outed it, I actually found him via video on YouTube. Got me to me, break my heart. No whether or not he can contact me.
Right. Well, okay, and after Mike hangs up, I'll explain to the audience what you talk about. But Mike, do me a favor. Cliff's, we're going to put you on hold, and can you give your information to Cliff, and so that I can contact you back, get on your information, and I can we can start. Man, I like that. That's beautiful stuff. Okay, yeah, great. Send the text over to me. All right, well, awesome, Mike. Hey, I appreciate you calling the show, and I definitely want to get together with you on that. All right, sir. Thanks a lot. Okay, all right, great call. Now, what Mike was talking about. Actually, before we go with what Mike's talking about, let's go ahead and take a little quick one. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the product that Mike was talking about that helps cool the air going into your condensing unit. Mr. 340-1590, give us a call. All right, welcome back. And if you're listening, drive safe. Please drive safe. Texting and driving is a big no-no, and I've never done that. Hey, you're going to have to help me get this little mixer thing up and running over here, Cliff, someday. This thing looks scary. Well, I'm not using it yet. This, well, if it still sounds good, then it's probably going to sound even better when I bring that into play. I'll be able to play with the volumes and. Oh, nice. Okay, great, great. Yes, we'll have to play around with that. So what was Mike talking about with the Mister? Well, when we think about air conditioning, the efficiency of the air conditioning system, believe it or not, as the temperature goes up and down outside, the efficiency and the SEER rating go up and down. Now, when you see your SEER rating, now your SEER rating is like your gas mileage in a car, okay? It determines how much energy the product is using to do the same job. All right, so a car that gets 34 miles a gallon obviously gets you from point A to point B in about the same amount of time, but it does it using a lot less gas or energy than a car that gets about 8 to 10 miles to the gallon. So what the Mister does is an air conditioning system's SEER rating is typically based on 95 degree outside. All right. So what the mister does is it sprays an extremely fine mist of vapor that cools the temperature of the air down in the split seconds that it goes across the outside coil. And as that air crosses the coil, if we can drop the temperature of that air 20 degrees before it gets into the unit, we are dramatically increasing the efficiency and the SEER rating of that air conditioning system. So I'm going to do some research on that with Mike, because that's a product that actually for commercial buildings, that was a big thing. And we used to actually do quite a bit of that when I worked up at ARS. We did a lot of work with that and worked with some people. And what you do is you set them up, and it's almost like, when you go to the restaurants and you see the little misters that are all around to help cool the air. Same exact concept. Now, as we get a little bit more technical and time passes on, they may even come out with a misting that perhaps might even have a product in it, some type of another solvent or whatnot, that may even help to drop that temperature even more. And that's a really good thing, and it's good that they're coming out with a residential version of that, and I really need to look into that because that would be a good product, and hopefully it's something reasonable and very easy to install, because I tell you, when I'm doing my load calculations, there's actually two numbers. One is for 95 degrees, and the other one is for 85 degrees, and it shows you the difference in efficiency. Now, here's the only issue that we could run into with that, and this is getting not real technical, but when you drop the outside temperature, the actual capacity, meaning, and when I mean capacity, if you have let's say a 3.5 ton system, because the unit is working more efficiently, the capacity of that system actually increases. So that 3.5 ton system can almost turn into a 4 ton system based on its capacity. So what we have to be careful is if we're already oversizing air conditioning systems out there, because some of these contractors are not doing real load calculations, if you put a mister on it, you'll overcool the house even more, and then you may think that you're saving energy, but what you're doing actually is you're causing humidity and mold and things like that to grow inside your house. Because remember, we talked about, if you overcool your house, the temperature drops, but the humidity does not. Humidity goes up. If you have any questions about this, give us a call, 772-340-1590. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions like Mike, or if you have a house like Mike. Mike sounds like he's got the perfect house. He's got some kids in there. He's got a wife in there. He's got himself in there. He's got a little miscellaneous tools and whatnot. Probably have a couple critters running around we can use. Put some special energy efficient rat traps or something like that at Mike's house. Just teasing, Mike. But so give us a call. You wrote my phone number down, 772-882-5700. You can give me a call. You can text me, and we can take a look at your house and see if you would be a perfect. And hey, even if we come out with more than one house, that may still work. It's always good to have a couple different test subjects. Cliff, I think Cliff was a test subject at one time. What was the name of that hospital? All right, so remember, don't forget our website, and we're talking about it's getting hot out. What are some of the first signs? What are some of the first signs that your air conditioning system is starting to kind of get on its last leg, go downhill? Well, one of them will be that you notice that it's running a lot longer. That's kind of an obvious one, right? The other one is that you'll notice that it gets a little more humid in your house, and you're having to take the temperature and turn it down, and I mean a degree at a time. So now the tough part here is that sometimes that happens over a long period of time, and we don't necessarily notice it right away because our body kind of gets used to it. So you want to kind of think back and say, okay, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months ago, what temperature were we keeping it at? Well, we were keeping it a couple degrees warmer. Well, If that's the case, there may be a situation, okay, where you're having an issue with your system, because if it's not cooling properly, it means it's not removing the amount of moisture and humidity that it needs to in the system, and it's going to run longer, cause more energy to be used, also going to make the humidity go up. Also, I would go get yourself like a little humidity sensor and put that in your house. And you want to try to keep your house around 50% humidity. That is the optimum place to have humidity in your house to reduce mold, mildew, bacteria, pollen, spores, allergens, and things like that. That's the optimum. And that's actually what we design houses at, is 50% humidity. One of the other things that you can do to determine that the air conditioning system is, if you walk outside after the system's been running for a few minutes and you put your hand over top of the outside unit. Now, this is one that even the ladies can do, even the guys can do. They really don't have any technical background. You don't have to know anything to put your hand over top of it. The temperature of the air coming out should be at least a minimum of 10 degrees, and you could feel 10 degrees warmer. You could feel difference in temperature. 10 degrees warmer from the air going in, okay? And the reason is because it's picking up heat as it goes across the coil because of the refrigerant that's in there. So even if you had a mister on, you're still going to feel a temperature difference. So put your hand over top, and if you notice that it's cool air coming out of there, not warmer air, your air conditioning system probably has a leak in it someplace. So that's a good thing to check. So those are some of the biggest things that are going to tell you that your air conditioning system is not functioning properly. And you want to have your technician come out and take a look and see what's causing it. Now, as we're starting to get hotter, this is when these units are really going to start working harder and harder and harder. So this is when you're going to see that you're going to start noticing more and more problems with your heating and air conditioning system. We don't have to worry about the heaters, sweating on the air handlers. Somebody tells you every air handler sweats, they're not telling the truth. Every air handler sweats probably that they put in because they don't design it properly. But if you design an air conditioning properly, it shouldn't sweat. I don't care whether it's in the attic or it's out in your garage. If it's designed properly and the right amount of airflow is allowed to pass through it, they will not sweat. Okay? And I mean sweat. I mean, if you get just a little teeny thing on a corner because there's insulation's moved or something, that's a different story. But I mean, I'm talking sweat. You should not have something like that sweats. So we want to take a look at that. So 340-1590. Got a couple minutes left if you'd like to give us a call. And questions, comments, suggestions. Also, we have a CTL Consultants. If you actually, believe it or not, a couple months ago, I had a listener call up because his son had a business. Okay? Now, this is the stuff that I deal with every day. Believe it or not, contractors have egos. Well, I think guys in general have egos. And the father called up because he saw that the son was struggling, absolutely struggling with his business. So out of the kindness of his heart, the father called up and talked to me for a little bit and said, Tom, I want to bring you on board to try to help my son. I'm even willing to pay for it. But with the ego that the son had, he refused. Even though he was belly up, borrowing money in the negative, his ego would not allow him to say, I need help. And I tell you, I see it too often. And when I go into businesses and I see these businesses have been struggling for years and years and years, and it's like, why didn't you ask for help years ago? Why did you allow it? Now you're to the point where it's almost too bad to fix. So if you know of any companies, once again, Heidi's going to be helping me with this as well, helping me market and get out there, and she's going to be my customer. She's going to be the new face of Comfort Time Live. She'll be going to networking events and really helping out, because obviously if you see my face, she's definitely got one up on me. So it's not all that hard to, oh, I get you now. It's a comedian, huh? So So we're going to go out, and if you know somebody who's struggling in business, doesn't matter what kind of business. That my background for the business is I can pretty much help any business out. I have that much experience in helping businesses and learning about, it's a widget. Any business, any company, they have a widget. They make a widget, they sell a widget, whatever it is. But it's understanding the stuff that's behind the scenes, the employee side of it, the retention side of it. Do you know what your acid test ratio is? Do you know what your overhead percentage is? Do you know what your net profit is? Do you know what your profit is on every single solitary job and what percentage? Do you job cost after the jobs, depending on the kind of business that you have, to know whether you're making too much money or not enough money? I've never seen it where it's too much money. So it's amazing. And I think I've told you folks before, when I have a class through the state of Florida where I can teach 8 hours of continuing education. And I teach contractors about their profit and loss statements. So when I go into these classes, I typically focus on air conditioning companies. And I would go in, and the first thing I do when I do these classes is I ask all the air conditioning contractors in the room, I said, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take your base 3-ton air conditioning system, and we're just going to install it in a closet in a house. No bells and whistles or frills. No, well, is it going to fit? Do I have to? Just your basic install. And I want everybody on a piece of paper, without putting the name or your company or anything, I want you to put what you would sell that product, how much you would sell that product for. And then I would have somebody collect it, and I would have them go through and pick out the least expensive one and the most expensive one. And I've done this class 4 times. 3 times I've done this class. I did other classes that I kind of put a little bit in there, but I did this class 3 times. And I had 30 people in each class. All 3 times I had pricing from just under $3,000 to almost $10,000. Now, I think the guy with the $10,000 was joking around, but my point is that there was a absolute huge spread between the top and the bottom. And when you ask the guy for the just under $3,000, what do you think the first thing that he thinks of when he doesn't get that job? The first words out of his mouth when you ask him, and I know this for a fact because I've asked these guys, why do you think you didn't get the job? Well, my price was too high. I got to look at my pricing. I got to see if I can get it down. Really? What makes you think that your price? Oh, price is too high. Well, people are always squawking about price. That's all they're worried about. I said, okay. Well, what I'd like you to do is the last 3 customers that you did business for that you didn't get their business, I want you to call them back and I want you to ask them if they purchased their system from the absolute cheapest price they had. And I bet you 90% of them will tell you no. So what does that mean? It means it's about value. Okay? You may be willing to spend $500 or $600 more from somebody because you trust them more. Because when you ask them for the things that you've learned about on Comfort Time Live, like their license and their workers' compensation and liability, they were able to show it to you. And because they were able to show it to you, they built value with you. They built trust with you. And because of that, you were willing to pay a couple more dollars. Okay? So anyway, so if you have anybody who's really interested in helping to grow their business, maybe they're struggling a little bit, be more than happy to sit down and talk with them, see if it's something that they would be willing to look at to help them be prosperous in this economy. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank our listener, Mike, for calling in and giving us some information. And the next day, the next 1 or 2 shows, we are going to get Heidi in here and talk to you folks. And we're also going to see if we can get the St. Lucie Contractors Exam Board so we can talk about all those bad guys that have been out there doing unethical or unlicensed activity. But I want to thank you for listening to Comfort Time Live. I hope you had a great Mother's Day. Last Sunday was Mother's Day, wasn't it? Yeah. Last Sunday was Mother's Day. So I want to thank all of you mothers out there, and I hope that you've taken good care of your children over the years. I'm sure you have. And I hope you had an absolutely fabulous Mother's Day. And I hope Daddy took good care of you. And the kids and everybody else. Hope they took really good care of you. So that's a good thing. So I want you to have a great weekend. It should be absolutely gorgeous. And take care. Thanks for listening to Comfort Time Live. Have a great weekend.
You're listening to Conversation Sometime Live. This Friday, May 9th at ComfortTimeLive.com. The archives of the show. And this program is on every Thursday